Hey there, change agents. It's Courtney and Lena from Kynection. Our series, Kai Meets Dilbert, is the oasis in the desert for business leaders thirsty for a lift in the dry conversation of quality, health, safety, and environment. Are you asleep yet? Hope not, because in every episode, we will explore the parody of the Dilbert comics by Scott Adam against the backdrop of Industry X or Industry 4.0. We will cover many topics from compliance audits to advances in BizTech with a focus on our digital backbone, the one system as we call it. Let's drink. Oh, here we are. Episode 3, Kai Meets Dilbert. Lena.
Yes.
Looks like you had some changes in your appearance of late.
I didn't plan for it.
It is very bright and I think it suits you. So the question is going to be, are you going to carry it through the rest of the series or are we going to make another change along the way?
You might see another change coming. Yes.
Okay, fantastic. We all know that change is a wonderful thing, particularly when you're running technology. And today we catch up to part 3 of the series, which is we're going to talk a little bit about planning in the context of running an integrated management system like ISO 9001 or the others. We have segued from suggesting that some of this stuff is dry, like the desert. But the interesting analogy today is that a desert, although dry, we want to make that a bit of humour, a bit of fun. It's also got lots of hazards and risks. And so we think that planning, a big proportion of planning is managing your risks and the risk management within your business. So our topics today, Lena, are going to be planning in the context of ISO and beyond. We're going to go into a case study that we've written, and for those in the audience out there, the case studies that we write try and link through to our topic and subject matter. And Lena puts those together with a lot of passion and vigour. Some of those are very related to our industries and some aren't. We're trying to look at case studies that make sense to the topic in which we're engaging. And finally, as always, Kynection is a technology company. We'd like to think we innovate. We'd like to think that we lead by example in building what we call a one system approach in the marketplace that might be recognised as a digital backbone. So we believe in every single piece of planning, there should be a digital backbone interwoven into that. So shall we cut and talk about planning?
Yes, let's do it.
Wonderful. Right. So like all series, we try and bring some humour. We've centred everything we're doing around Dilbert and Scott Adam and his satirical approach to business humour. Let's get into it. Let's not muck around. We've told the audience about why we do it. We've got this little Dilbert above that we think is very funny, but planning. ISO 9001, integrated management systems. What do we need to do?
So clause number 6 in ISO talks about planning to address risks and opportunities, planning for how you're going to meet your organizational objectives, and manage change management planning. So an organization needs to identify what risks can affect it, what opportunities can affect it, what are the objectives, and risks also include contingency management planning or some severe risks and impacts like that. Yeah,
so we like to get engagement in our teams. It's led by your executive and your management and leadership team, which we've talked about in the context of ISO. The interesting parallel to the Dilbert series is that you don't want to dismiss people in your business. You don't want to put something forward, ask them to do something, create plans, put plans together, and then basically not to use them, right? It's a really big insult, and I've seen so many managers over the years go and basket weave over there. I want you to write the plan, and the plan comes in, and everyone forgets about the plan very quickly. So we want to avoid that at all costs because that's inefficient. So when we're planning, we engage with our teams, we work with them closely, and we make sure that the objectives that we set, the goals that we orient towards are achievable. And again, we, as a technology business, focus and think that you need to underpin it with some innovation. Yep. Have we got anything more else you'd like to add to that concept of planning, the alignment of resource allocation, anything like that, Lena?
Communication is very important.
Yes. Communication. And the one thing that you identified when we were putting these slides together was the concept that we should always be in continual improvement, that we should set a static plan that's strong in terms of its ideals for the business, but we should always be looking to improve if the opportunities come. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Terrific. All right. So we will continue on our little journey into a case study now, I think. Alrighty, so on to our case study. And our case study is, as you rightly pointed out, Lena, Linfox Group. Very dear to our hearts in that we have a lot to do with the transport industry. Whilst Linfox is not necessarily a customer of ours, we've had many conversations in the industry about Linfox. We've learned a lot. I've had the privileges to walk through some of their amazing innovations in the marketplace, and I get to see their trucks go by. We're passing out of the Fox and Wave because they've created this very invigorated brand. And I think that brand only could have got to where it got to because someone had a dream very early on. So given that you wrote a bit of an article about this case study, I'm going to throw it over to you and maybe you could explain how planning and the influence of planning was a successful Linfox business.
Yeah, so it's a very inspirational story because like many of our customers, it started from a one-man operation, one-man dream. And he basically wanted to grow into working on his business and not in his business. And he tailored all of his operation around successfully meeting customer requirements, delivering on time, and ensuring that this same integrity continues as he grows, as he bought more and more trucks and grew his operation. And because of his good reputation and because of his approach to customers, he always managed to win new business and win his competition.
Oh no, absolutely, and I think it was underpinned by other planning initiatives as well. And you know, we know you did some research, but fortunately, I've had a little bit to do, and so we also know that the trucks that he chose to buy very early on were also centered around technology and adding value back to the business. So you go, well, what does that mean to planning? Well, in my mind, that's identifying the sorts of things like risks, maintenance hazards, things that can happen on the road, impacts to drivers and all those sorts of things that a transport company would strike on a daily basis, and having the tools and equipment and understanding that to pay a bit more, to give a little bit more to the tools and equipment means a lot in terms of the long run. So he's got this long-term strategic relationship with Mercedes-Benz, from what I understand, and that is centered off this belief that you need the best quality products, you need to stand by your service and deliver the best quality service, and that will give you a brand that separates in the marketplace. 24,000 employees, maybe 10,000 trucks now, I don't know, I haven't got the officials on that. That's a lot of stuff to manage, and you don't get to doing that unless you've got a good plan in place. Were there any other little things that sort of stood out for you, Lena, in the Linfox case study we put together?
The personality really did stand out.
Yeah, always is. So a big personality. So, you know, planning's great, systems and innovations are great, networking and skills around networking, and certainly culture, I would say, have a lot to do with growth.
Yeah, definitely. You need to have the right personality and you need to make sure that the right culture in your business as well.
And you said here that, you know, you also need to be able to recognise very quickly and be prepared to shift your plan if required, to find those pockets of gold and to mine those pockets of gold. So I thought that was a really good analogy, and given Linfox is gold and we're gold, why not stick on the gold? Wonderful. Thanks, Lena. We'll go on to talking about a little bit about innovation shortly. Alrighty, so as a technology company and what we'd like to see as an innovation leader, Kynection has interwoven in, per what we said we'd talk about today, a concept around innovation. So we're going to talk a little bit about one of the mainstays of our series, which is this concept of old school Zen style thinking and then modern, innovative, innovation-led thinking. So yes, we're back on it. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. We're saying in the Len Fox example, just go out and buy some really good German engineering. You still got to work hard. We all agree that. And so innovation interwoven into a business is critical. One of those things that we're also tying into this series is our one system approach. And in our one system approach, the market is talking around what they call a digital backbone. And so a digital backbone represents this technology stack, and that could be many pieces of technology. Ideally, in our mind, it's trying to limit the amount of technology touch for your users so that their daily in actions, their daily actions and use of the system is reduced in terms of pain. Things like remembering passwords, things like an interface that I can't remember how to use, things like, it doesn't go from here to the next system or the next process piece. These are all the things we think underpin a digital backbone or one system. What did Thomas Edison say? And how do you think that aligns to Kynection and innovation as part of a company's thought process?
Well, he said that good fortune is what happens when opportunity meets with planning. And that basically the essence of all miracles. If you have a plan and you recognize an opportunity and you work towards it, you would get your miracle.
You do, and nothing better than getting a miracle. I know how good that is for a team when they hit a target or achieve an outcome, or we set an objective and it gets delivered. These are things you cannot undermine in your business. And what we want to do is make sure that we capture those moments, we understand how they've been achieved using technology to grab data, and then measuring that so that we can always improve. Planning, improvement, miracles. I like that combo. Alrighty, so across to a little bit about Kynection, and it would be very remiss if we didn't talk about the one system approach that we look to provide to the marketplace. I keep on looking at your hair, Lena. I can't help it. We took the magic hideaway off our microphone, and I'm just drawn because your red goes with the red. It's fantastic. Let's keep this red theme going for next week, and then maybe at the end, as we're hitting the home straight, we'll go gold. What do you reckon? All right, beautiful. So we're on to Kynection, risk management. So risk management, a really, really fundamental part of planning. Can you talk to us about risk management in the context of planning and how that might link to systems design?
Yes. So KIM allows you to basically complete any risk assessments, whether they're machine risk assessments, chemical risk assessments, general hazard assessments, SWIMs, JSCAs, and things like that from your mobile phone. So you can control any risks that you have within your organization or on different sites, on different projects. You can understand what they are, assign responsibilities to different people to control them, and even control stocks related to any equipment that you need to manage these risks.
Yeah, so that's super powerful, and they're I'll call it the tools, the things that drive an effective risk management culture or effective risk management business practice. What are some of the things in risk management when we get down to the fundamentals of ISO 9001 and Clause 6 planning? Some of those little fundamentals that you might want to just tell the audience in respect to how they should think about risk management in their structures. How would that come about if you didn't have all the tech?
Yes, so according to the ISO standard, you need to be able to address both risks and opportunities. So if you didn't have any technology, it would be very, very hard to record all of this information, trap all of this information, communicate and manage all of this information. I used to audit companies and go through massive piles of paperwork that was incomplete, hard to read, lots of lost information. And you understand that all the risks result in money essentially and result in controlling different losses and preventing different losses for your business. So any bit of information that can prevent this loss is very crucial.
Oh, 100%. And so in our system, some of the things that I get jazzed up about, and you know what I'm like, I do a fair bit of product design. I get really jazzed up about some of the ways in which we've delivered risk management. So we have this concept of a planning piece, which provides what would be typically known as your risk matrix in your business. And that covers off all sorts of elements of risks, all the way through safety and hazards up to business risks. Yep. From there, the really cool thing is we have this ability using other modules, and this is where I talk about this backbone, this one system approach, using other modules that give way to be able to do that anywhere, anytime in the field, and provide gateways or trap points, or hold points, if you use the right terminology, that don't allow people to go past until they've either undertaken the risk assessment, understood that the risk assessment in their site or in their vehicle or in their maintenance activity has been achieved and validated as an A-OK, thumbs up, let's go forward, right? So that gets me really jazzed up. Then the superpower out of all of that is the data collection. Now we know something, we know when things are breaking, we know when things, from the field directly, when we need to hold up, when we need to park up a truck, and then we know the time taken to recover from those outcomes. Or we have a real-time scenario where we can actually action them fast so we don't lose huge amounts of productivity, because that's a killer too, right, in business.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about it is that all of these things that Courtney is mentioning are available in dashboards.
Yeah.
So you can see them graphically. It's right there. You don't need to search for anything. It tells you how many open items, how many closed items, in what areas you had your most injuries or incidents.
Near time, near misses,
yes.
etc. And then the power of that is that we have a workflow that sits around it. And that could be coming off a job, that could be coming off a project management piece, that could come off a vehicle pre-start. There's so many variables there when you look at your business on where your risks are identified, captured and originate from. It's a big thing. And in paper, I don't know.
No.
Lena, I know you've come from paper. We scared the crap out of you when you came into our business. I think that's why you changed your hair. But ultimately, that's the truth, right? To do this in paper, in my mind, no way. So I think we'll close on that today. A little statement here, rocks and sticks we used once to capture information from the field. We evolved amazingly to paper and pen. Now, that was a long time ago, and we've still got it. 2021, like, are you kidding me? So let's get off the paper and the pen, let's innovate and let's move forward. And if we're going to do it, let's do a jump step and not just go to all of these different spaghetti systems. Let's look at the digital backbone and the one system. Lena, it's been great. Catch up again. We look forward to bringing a little bit more information in Series 4 where we'll talk about
the Cancer Council.
The Cancer Council. There we go.
Special thanks to our clients and partners for contributing to our knowledge as we continually improve KIM, our one system, built for Industry X. Additionally, we would like to give thanks for the inspiration of this series to Scott Adams, who brought to light the most frustrating aspects of business in his Dilbert Series. Scott wore many hats and jobs while creating the Dilbert comic series. Dilbert was first launched in 1989 and now appears in 2,000 newspapers in 57 countries and 19 languages.